Huckabee turns the impeachment screws on Kamala. Mike accuses her of treating average Americans in elitist, snobbish way. What's happening? Has Kamala Harris proven herself as a competent VP? Not according to some top leaders. Harris got the job thanks to Joe Biden, whom many accusing of picking her because of her race and gender. Harris was an unimpressive senator, not to mention a presidential candidate that got 2% support. She was given a major job dealing with the border and messed it up royally. Worse than that, she made some insulting comments about rural Americans. So, Mike Huckabee, who recently said impeachment was in the cards based on her actions in office, took her to task. Huckabee called out Harris's comments about voters in rural America. He roasted the Democrat, calling her statements elitist and snobbish. Harris seems to think rural folks, especially minorities, can't get a legal ID, or don't have access to a photocopier. Mike pointed out that you need to have an ID to see a doctor or dentist, let alone get on an airplane. Yet Harris, like many other Democrats, says that many Americans can't get their acts together enough to acquire a driver's license. That's how little elitist liberals seem to think of humble folks like you or me. Democrats like Harris claim this to justify their opposition to voter ID laws. They claim some Americans can't get an ID, so they shouldn't be required to show one to vote. They even go far as to say voter ID laws discriminate against rural Americans and minorities. What a load of garbage. Huckabee called out Harris's claim, saying the Democrats oppose voter ID because it makes it easier for people to game the system. Do Democrats really want a scenario where anyone can pretend to be somebody else, because they don't need to show ID? What other reason would they so passionately oppose voter ID? To say Americans can't get a basic photo ID, which is needed everywhere, is ignorant and insulting. Huckabee has been an advocate of impeaching Harris for her actions at the border and other comments. Now, there's no way that will happen as long as Democrats hold either House of Congress, and Republicans would need to take the House and pick up a significant number of seats in the Senate. But even then, it would be very difficult, and Republicans may not have the stomach for it right before an election. But comments like these can mobilize the voters she seems to disdain and throw her out in 2024. Are you going to be voting for Biden or Kamala Harris in 2024, or their opponent?